It's often said that people have a doppelganger or lookalike somewhere out there in the world. For Brady Feigl and another man with the same exact name, things started to get weird. After joining the same Texas baseball team, they realized how similar they looked. It was only a matter of time before they took a DNA test. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. The first Brady Feigl was born in Dallas, Texas, and grew up with a natural talent for baseball. Feigl made sure that he would earn straight A's in school and always excelled in athletics. He can remember his mother cheering him on and encouraging him to pursue a career in baseball. The next Brady Feigl was born in Houston, Texas, and grew up similarly to the first Brady. He loved playing baseball as a kid. This Brady realized he was adopted from a young age, but always had loving and supportive parents. Unlike the first Brady, he was considered more of a class clown, like every person who discovers the existence of a family they never knew about. The Brady from Houston always wondered if he had other siblings out in the world. He was open to meeting them and curious about who they'd be. Baseball ended up being the shared passion between the two Bradys that helped them to connect and bond. Both young men knew it was something they wanted to continue after they completed their undergraduate studies. The Brady from Dallas decided he wanted to study political science in college, while the Brady from Houston chose to major in accounting. Both had their own passions outside of sport they knew they had to foster. Both of the Bradys were able to get good grades in school, but knew that political science and accounting were more of a backup plan if baseball fell through. They had no idea the path their futures would take at this point. After their time at college, the two were talented enough to join the MLB. Both Bradys were accepted to play for the Texas Rangers in Arlington, Texas. As fate would have it, the two were drawn together. When the two finally joined the rest of the team for practice, the coach and other players were aware that something funny was going on. Their reactions would begin a chain of questioning that would give the Bradys an answer they didn't know they were looking for. When the coach saw both of the Bradys for the first time, he couldn't stop himself from laughing hysterically at their resemblance. Others on the team were similarly baffled by the pair. The coach soon realized that this could be a big problem. They both had the same name, which was very confusing. Every time you would call one of the Bradys, the other one would show up. The Texas Rangers baseball coach had enough of trying to tell the two Bradys apart. This gave him a perfect idea of how to separate the two. At first, the Bradys thought it was a coincidence that they looked alike, but the coach suggested the two could actually be related. Those who are familiar with the Harry Potter franchise will probably remember Ron Weasley's twin brothers Fred and George. Rambunctious and memorable, these two famous twins became the Bradys' calling cards. The redhead twins from the story had a striking resemblance to the Bradys. Since the Brady from Houston was more of a class clown, it made them even more similar to the Weasley twins. Being two similar-looking men on a baseball team made both the Bradys subject to lots of ridicule from their teammates. While it was funny the first few times, both of the Bradys were starting to become irritated by all of the teasing. One of their teammates even blurted out that the two must have the same mother. While the jokes made by their teammates were a little annoying, the two Bradys thought it was time to talk about their resemblance to one another. They realized there could be some truth to them. Naturally, the Bradys decided to take stock of what could potentially be family resemblances. First, they noticed there are several similarities. They were the same height, they both wore glasses, and shared a good sense of humor. However, there were some differences. While the Bradys had many huge similarities, there were also some contrasting differences. The Brady from Houston had blue eyes, but the Brady from Dallas had hazel eyes. They soon realized that the Brady from Dallas had a mom with blue eyes. Since the Brady from Houston was adopted, it meant that there was a possibility they shared DNA. Since the genes that give someone blue or green eyes are both recessive, both parents can carry them even if only one of the parents has light-colored eyes. This isn't something that happens every day, so the Bradys took to television to share their story. They gave an interview to Inside Edition, and people immediately started reacting. Then viewers reached out to the Bradys on social media with stories about meeting their long-lost twin. It was a lot for the two of them to handle. After their story blew up on television and online, People from around the country started going to Texas Rangers games to get a glimpse of the Bradys. Their fans were so devoted to them that they wanted to create a Kickstarter to raise funds for the two to take a DNA test. The Kickstarter goal was met quickly, which allowed the Bradys to take their first steps for their DNA test. They spit into tubes to capture their saliva, covered them in a plastic seal, and sent them off to a laboratory to be examined by professionals. Now, all they could do was wait. Ellis Island was where many immigrants first came to America during the years of 1892 to 1954. One of the Bradys went there to learn more about his German ancestors. He knew that Feigl was a German name, so he was curious to know if the other Brady had German ancestry as well. If they shared similar lineage that would bring them both closer to getting the confirmation they needed. It was finally time for the Bradys to get their ancestry DNA results back from the laboratory. Both were a bit nervous, but ready to get some definite answers. Both of the Bradys saw that they had the exact same amount of German ancestry at 53%. Now, it was time to see if they were in fact twins. While the two Bradys had the same amount of German ancestry, that's the only area where their results were the same. The Brady from Houston was 2% Irish and Scottish, but the Brady from Dallas had 10% Irish and Scottish ancestry. The pair were not twins after all. While both of the men were taken aback by the results, they didn't let it get in the way of their lasting friendship. The Bradys still go by the nicknames of Fred and George due to their resemblance to the Weasley twins. This is how their coach tells them apart. While the two aren't blood related, they act as though they are brothers.